Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Allie if you are new here. Today I am doing a quick video with you, the intimidating TBR tag. I was tagged by Scotty. I will have her channel linked down below. It's Scotty Cherie Reads. You should definitely go check her out. She makes incredible content, and she is one of my newer booktube and bookstagram friend, but I have really been enjoying her videos, and she's currently on a mission to read Stephen King in publication order. So kudos to her, good luck to her. I've been there, I feel like, for a little while now, and I've already failed because I decided to teeter off to the Dark Tower series expanded. So I'm still hoping to maybe link up at some point and be like reading the same book with her, because I would love to know her thoughts on some of his work. But she has tagged me to do this. If you are watching this and you have a book channel, please feel free to participate. I don't know who all has even done this tag. She has mentioned that it's been around for a while. And I will have the questions down below. If you do end up doing it on your channel, please let me know or tag me so that I can come and check out your video as well. So these are the most intimidating books on my TBR, but what I also like to call my scariest books on my TBR, because I've put some of these off for quite a while. So the first question is, what book have you not been able to finish, just in general? And for me, that is this right here, The Stand. This is a rather old copy of it, but this is like the full, like, uncut edition. So it is humongous, which could have went for another prompt on this, but I had to put this one on here because it's not typical of me to soft DNF. I don't do it very often. It's either I'm gonna finish the book or I'm DNFing it and I'm not gonna circle back to it. Where this one was a soft DNF for me because I am going to reread it. I am going to read it. I'm going to finish it completely. I think for me, more than anything, this is such an intimidating book anyways, because it's so long. But it's the fact that for me, I wasn't really enjoying the characters at the time. They were just not really my cup of tea. I liked the overall story and what was going on, but it also felt like so close to home, and I think that made it a really tough read for me at the time because of the pandemic and everything going on. Then my mental health was just not doing great, and I ultimately had to pause it. And now it's been a couple years, and I'm kind of trying to circle back to it and thinking, like, should I just pick up where I left off? Because the book has really stayed with me. Like, I remember these characters so vividly. I remember what was going on so well. So I'm like, do I just start back up where I left off, or should I start the full reread? And I really just don't want to leave anything out. And with this collection at the end of the year coming out, The End of the World as We Know It, which is a short story collection that are all based on The Stand, it kind of makes me just want to start it over before then and read the whole thing. And I feel like I'm in a better mindset now to do so. So yeah, I'm gonna be jumping around a lot if I have the books on hand. Next is, what book have you not had time to finish? House of Leaves. Like, who has time for this? It is such a humongous one also. Another one that I have started, which could have fell in the last prompt as well because I did not finish it. But it's a book with like so much research and like annotating, really taking the time to deep dive into the work and what it all means and piecing things together. And everybody says, oh my gosh, like, there's nothing like reading that for the first time, and it's so incredible, and I want to get through it so bad. This was one, I think we have a couple in common, me and Scotty, but this is definitely one that we have in common, and I'm really hoping to get back into this because I started it last year with hopes of being able to read it, and I ultimately just never have the time to fully focus on it, and that's why it fit perfectly for this prompt, but I will get to it one of these days. Next is, what's a book you've been unable to finish because it's a sequel? Oh my gosh. I don't even know. I want to say this one is the next in the series. My Momo has gifted me so many James Patterson books that she's thrifted over the years because she tends to buy copies of the same book she already has, and then she's like, oh, I thrifted some more books that I already own, here you go. So I've grown my James Patterson collection because of her, but I enjoy the Alex Cross series so far. I have only read the first book. I have read other ones from it when I was a teenager and I enjoyed it then. I just couldn't tell you which ones they were. And he has other series that I'm hoping to get to at some point, but this series in particular is so daunting and so intimidating and scary, if you will, because there's like 30 plus books. Like I'm so far behind. They're not all like super big, but like it's still just intimidating to jump into a series that is that long and that long going. It fell in this category. What book have you not been able to finish that is brand new? I really, really, really want to get to this. It is intimidating just because of my previous thoughts on the last two books, but this book I'm talking about is Onyx Storm. I don't have a physical copy of it. I actually don't own any of the Fourth Wing books because while I really enjoyed the first one, it ended up being a 5-star. It was one of the first fantasy books that really caught my attention, and still to this day, like, I love so many of the characters, the world building. I love the dragons. Oh my god. But like, I cannot stand the main character. I have a really hard time resonating with her. I feel like then into the second book, she's really whiny. I also feel like there is a direction it's teetering that I just am not going to be here for if that does happen. So it is intimidating in a way that the book is also another big fantasy read, and that's not a comfort genre for me. So that kind of makes it intimidating, but it is the third in a series, and I feel like it could go up or it could go down from here. So it's a little intimidating to pick that one up, but I do really want to get to it before it's spoiled. What book have you not read yet because you read a book by the same author and didn't love it? This one for me isn't even a long book, but Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. Don't get me wrong, I liked Gone Girl back when I read it, but I have since then, and I also liked The Grown Up from her, but I have since then also read Sharp Objects, and I hated that book. It was not for me. I even tried the like adaptation series, not for me. So yeah, I bought this one, I thrifted it, I've been wanting to get to it, but I'm just kind of intimidated to read it because I feel like it's just gonna be a like or just a big miss, but it is part of Gabby's The Book Troops book clubs, or it's a pick for January for her book club that I'm like kind of forced to go ahead and pick it up and try it. So yeah. Next is, what book have you not been able to finish because you're not in the mood for it? And I really had a hard time figuring out this one because I wouldn't say I'm not in the mood for it, but there's just so many other things I want to read over this. But I did thrift a copy of The Hobbit, so I feel like for this question, it's The Hobbit and kind of the whole Lord of the Rings series as a whole that I've put off for so long. I've watched all of the Lord of the Rings growing up, and it was definitely a family movie that we watched, like the three big ones were definitely a family movie that we watched all the time. So it kind of held me back from that, but I've heard such amazing things about the cozy vibes that The Hobbit brings, and I really want to get to this series at some point. It's just, it is kind of intimidating to me because it is a longer series as well. But again, I don't think it's really like I'm not in the mood for it. It's just that there's other things that I'm like, I would rather be reading that right now. And maybe I won't feel that way once I finally get to it, but that's just the mindset right now. Maybe you can encourage me. If you love that series and love The Hobbit even, like maybe you'll encourage me to finally pick it up. Next is, what is a book you haven't been able to finish because it's humongous? And I'm throwing this one up because this one's a fanfic. So some of you guys might not be okay with that because it is a fanfic, although this author is now coming out with their like debut novel, but Manacled. If you have been living under a rock, this is a Hermione fanfic. This is about Draco Malfoy and Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. And the fanfic is they're together, but it's like what would happen with this whole Harry Potter world if Voldemort won in the end. And I really want to get to it, more so because my friend is obsessed with Hermione fanfic and she has wanted me to read this book for so long that I do want to get to it at some point, but I wanted to add it, although it is a fanfic, because it is so overwhelming how long this book is. For what it is, no shade to her, because I know she loved every bit of it and probably wished it was longer, but it's just very intimidating for me to read that long of a fanfic already. And I don't really know how I vibe with the whole Hermione aspect either. And I think it's also the fact that like with the one that we should not be mentioning, the author we should not mention, their work with Harry Potter is, I still love the Harry Potter universe, and I have all the books from when I was younger that I've wanted to do a reread because I never even finished the last couple of books. But every year I'm so just not in a great headspace with wanting to support that said author, even though I no longer buy any merchandise or support the author in any way other than just wanting to reread some books from back then and, I don't know, kind of get that nostalgic vibe that you do when you reread Twilight and stuff like that. But anyways, I have told my friend this was her pick for me this year for my 12 recommendations from friends. So I'm gonna have to get to it at some point. So it is a terrifying one on my TBR. Next is, what is a book that was a cover buy, but now you're hearing like bad reviews about it, so you're a little intimidated by that? And for me, I have two. I have American Rapture by CJ Lead. Beautiful cover, absolutely gorgeous. It's also signed from Aardvark Book Club. And also The Familiar from Leigh Bardugo. And I put these two on there because their covers are just absolutely gorgeous. They were a cover buy for me, especially Leigh Bardugo's, but at the same time, I've read from them before and I enjoyed their work. So although I'm hearing like mixed reviews or bad reviews on these two, I know that Leigh Bardugo worked for me with Ninth House and Hellbent when that did not work for other people. So that makes it a little less intimidating. And then the same for American Rapture is, I feel like I'm maybe a little bit more intimidated by this one because I love Mayfly. I can't stop thinking about it. I gave it 4 stars, but I'm kind of already wanting to bump it to a 5 because that book I just don't think will ever leave me, and I still constantly think about the ending. I think about certain scenes. It is just so jarring, and I loved the ride. I love the writing. That it makes me so excited for this one. But then seeing the people who loved Mayfly give this bad reviews, I'm like, no. And lastly, the most intimidating book on your TBR. And I'm giving this one to Crime and Punishment because I feel like it's just one of those books that as a book lover, you just kind of want to get to at some point. Maybe not for everybody, but I feel like it's just a standard daunting read because it is a bigger book, and it's also the aspect of when it was written, am I going to be able to understand anything that's going on? Am I going to even like this type of vibe? And once again, I am kind of being persuaded to read this because I have a group of friends from a book club who are reading hard to read books. There is more books on that list that I'm excited about, but some that are also intimidating. So that is, I guess, bonus books for this that I didn't include, although some of them could definitely make this list. But I am hoping to read those hard things with them this year, and one of them is Crime and Punishment, which I feel like I don't know enough about. So for the most part, I am going to be going in rather blindly, but I'm excited to go into an intimidating book with a group of people who are just as intimidated and who have seemed to be enjoying it so far, might I say. So that is the books that are the scariest on my TBR. So intimidating. I hope you enjoyed this little quick tag video. Again, if you do this tag, please let me know or tag me in it or something so that I can come watch yours, because I would love to know what books freak you out, what books you still haven't got to because you can't get over that intimidation. Thank you, Scotty, for tagging me. I really appreciate it. And I'm so sorry it's taking me so long to finally do this tag, but I hope you enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.
You got, I didn't ever mean to send it, so you got me in my feelings. Also fuck autocorrect, and I've been doing fine except the stabbing pain up in my chest, and I'm stuttering. I'm done.